Hey, everybody. Thanks for being here. Welcome to Submetering 101, and we're going to talk specifically about that leaky toilet that's killing your cash flow. My name's Trevor Day. I'm our sales and marketing manager here at Submeter Solutions, and I'm excited to be able to jump in with you. We'll get started here in just a second, but if you'll see, there's a Q&A section. So as we're going about this presentation, feel free to drop your questions in there, and then Kelly will get those answered at the end. But we'd love to be able to engage with you and make sure that we're adding as much value as we can to you and make sure that we're saving you time and being able to recover as much ROI as we can for your property. So without further ado, I'm going to hand this over to Kelly, who's the president and CEO of Submeter Solutions. So over to you, Kelly.
Thanks, Trevor. Appreciate that. Well, good morning, everyone, or good afternoon if you are on the East Coast. We are excited to be talking to you this morning. We're calling this brief seminar Submetering 101, and I would guess that some of you are coming from many different backgrounds. Maybe you know a whole lot about recovering your utility costs at your multi-unit properties, or maybe it's brand new to you. So what we're really hoping to do in this time is to go through quickly and just give you an overview of what we're talking about when it comes to using submetering as a methodology to recover your utility costs. So without further ado, I'm going to jump right into this. This slide's titled "What You Should Know," and we want to just start with the fact that one of the largest costs if you own or manage a multi-unit property is those ever-increasing utility bills, and you have a choice on some ways to recover those costs and make your bottom line profit and loss work for you. And we're going to cover those and tell you why we think submetering is the best way to go. I'm Kelly Kuntz. I've been with Submeter Solutions since 2010. I'm president of the company, and we are based in Kent, Washington. We do business all over the country, and we are kind of two parts of our business. We sell meter reading systems, and then we also provide third-party billing services on a monthly basis for properties. So what we're going to really touch on today is trends in utility costs. We're going to look at what methods you have to recover those costs. We're going to talk about why we think submetering makes sense. We're going to give you some specifics on what that means to install that at your property, understanding that equipment. We'll then touch on the billing services and how that work, and we'll address why you would want to do that and what the return on investment is. So let's start with some trends. It's not hard to Google on and ask about utility costs. And here are just three quotes, a couple of them literally from the last week, about places in the United States that are announcing utilities, water specifically in this case, that are announcing ever increasing prices. So if you own a building, I'm not telling you anything you don't know. I do think that it's worth noting that we focus on the cost of the water, that incoming water that's coming from the utility. And sometimes we don't realize that if we're also paying for sewer, the sewer cost relative to that gallon of water is sometimes 2.5 or 3 times the cost of the water because of the infrastructure costs for sewer. So don't just look at that water bill. Make sure you also account for the sewer, because in most cases, sewer is calculated based on the consumption of water you have. So you own a building, multifamily, and you're trying to figure out how you're going to cover those utility costs. You basically have 3 ways of doing that, 3 methods. And the first one you can do is simply add some to the monthly rental fee. I'm going to make my rent $50-$60 a month higher than I otherwise would. We'll include those costs of the utility. Residents don't have to pay directly for that. And that's one method of doing it. What happens is your residents basically say to themselves, well, water's free. And they have no incentive to change or modify their usage habits. The next level is you can actually break out these utility costs, and you could use a ratio system, or what's called in the industry RUBS, and you could be billing directly your residents, but it is still simply based on a mathematical formula. How many residents does each apartment have? What's the square footage? How many bathrooms? So that's better than just covering it into the rental fee. But again, you're not really creating an opportunity to change behavior on what residents use. So the last one, and the one we're going to focus on today, is you can add a meter to every unit, submeter those units, and charge the residents directly for what they use. And that's the one we're going to focus on. So what is submetering? Well, if you read this, this is a great dictionary definition of it, but it's essentially a system where you can add a meter to every unit that allows now the property to individually meter and then bill for what the resident actually uses. And why would you want to do that? Well, the fun part is when you do that, you are now changing behavior. And our many studies, both internally at our company and throughout our industry, verify that the drop in actual utility costs after 3 months of implementing a new system is traditionally 18 to 35%. We tend to use 20 as a conservative average, 20%. So you can count on that happening after adding meters to the property. That's going to, if you then start passing those costs along to the residents, of course, that's increasing cash flow, improves your cap rates. You're now, instead of chasing ever increasing prices that the utility is sending you, you're out in front of that. You're not having to hope that you cover that for the rest of the year before you can raise your prices. You're encouraging energy conservation with your tenants. And you can actually make your rents more affordable if you break that out and not include those in the cost of the rent. So what happens when you submeter is residents pay for what they actually use. And I mentioned that 18 to 32%. You're going to stay on top of those rates. And then, our catchy name for our seminar this morning was that leaking toilet's killing you. And we're going to spend a minute and talk about what's going on when we talk about leaks. So the kind of leaks that we're going to focus on really today, we'll talk about others if you'd like, but the one we're going to talk about is that toilet flapper that is caught up and it's constantly running in one of your or more of your residents' units. And conservatively, plumbers' studies show that will use around 200 gallons of water a day. Think of 4 55-gallon drums of water that toilet, the flapper that's up and running is running through your bill every day. So that's 6,000 gallons a month. We happen to use Seattle's rates for water and sewer, and that is now approaching $200 a month just for that leaking toilet. So if you're not able to isolate that and pass that along to the resident, that money's coming out of your pocket as the property owner or manager. So how can submetering help? Well, one of the fun new features that our industry offers is that now our systems have algorithms in there that will recognize when water is constantly running through the meter, and it will provide an alert in our system that will either email or text someone at the property, whether that be a maintenance person or a property manager, and it will tell them, you need to go check out unit 112. There's water constantly running. So you can arrest that problem, get it fixed, pass that information along to the resident, and everybody wins. Resident wins, property wins, and we're conserving water. Everybody wins when we can do that. So you get that resolved fast. So we really believe that this is a great new addition to what our submetering systems now offer. So how does all this work? Well, we talked about, and I mentioned meters, and it really starts there. You need to add a meter to every unit. Then you got to figure out how you're going to read that meter, and we'll talk about that a little bit more in a minute. And then you're going to figure out how you're going to then take that data from the meter and create a bill and send it to the resident. So we're going to touch on all three of those aspects. So first thing is meters, and so we sell all different kinds of meters here at Submeter Solutions: water meters, gas meters, electric meters. We even have some more sophisticated runtime sensors or BTU meters. So if you have a specific example or application for that, let us know, because we can help you with that. But it all starts with the meter, and that meter needs to be on, for instance, water, on the water line leading into that unit. And then typically, we're not going to want to have to walk around every month and read that meter. So along with that, we're going to pair it with some meter reading systems, and we'll talk about the different options there in a minute too. Water meters, they can be priced as low as $70 each. There's a lot of advances and new technology coming in our industry that we're really excited about. But these meters are very accurate. They're utility grade measured. They're approved. They're literally as accurate as what's being used by the utilities. But they're also surprisingly inexpensive. And a lot of times we hear feedback from clients that didn't realize that they can get them for one-offs, $70 each. And if you've got a larger property, that price is even going to be less. Let us know if you have some need for a gas meter. Those prices can be as low as $155 each and go up from there on your application. We also can do electric meters. We have a couple different styles of electric meters. We can use the more traditional jelly jar socket style glass meters. If you've got those in existing property right now, we would tend to probably go with what we call our CT rated meters, which are easier to install. They're better for retrofit applications, and they're very inexpensive. So we're going to really kind of focus on the water meter going forward, because that tends to be where we see most of our applications. And where am I going to put this meter is first question we get asked quite often. And so where that meter needs to go is typically right after the shutoff valve in the unit. So very often, if there is by the hot water tank, for instance, there's a shutoff valve that provides the water to the entire unit. And so that's where that would get installed. You can do that yourself. You can hire your own plumber. If you don't have a plumber, you can talk to us and we can talk about helping you to find a plumber for that. I also want to mention that, a lot of times, especially older buildings, they weren't designed to have a single water supply unit that goes into every single unit that way. But very often they do have an individual hot water heater. And so we can still submeter those. The way we're going to do that is what's used, it's called a hot water allocation method. And by doing that, we are actually metering the hot water used in every unit. And then we take that and are able to bill back the resident for all of the water, all of the sewer costs. You're changing behavior. It's measuring the hot water. It's very effective. And if anything, the installation costs on that type of an application are even a little less than a standard full capture system. So what are those installation costs? What is a plumber going to charge us? Well, that's one of those really great, it depends. Every property is very unique. And if they have to cut into the sheetrock and rework some of the existing plumbing there, then it could be upwards of $400, perhaps even more if there's repairs to be done. But if the lines are exposed, there's easy access. We've seen installations from plumbers that are as little as $100, $125 per unit. So what's a key here is you definitely want to get a quote, because that's going to be a significant piece of the overall cost of installing a system. Additionally, if it's a gas meter or an electric meter, talk to an electrician or another plumber to get that installed. If you're pairing that meter with one of our automated meter reading systems, quite often we're going to configure that in our office so that when the plumber installs the meter, there's no extra specific cost in each unit to install that part of the equipment. So we're moving now from meters to how to read those meters. So with that part of our metering systems, you also have some options. And a lot of people that we talk to, maybe with a smaller property, they're okay by being able to just install the meter. It's easily accessible, it's easy to read, and they can just get their pad and paper out and pencil and write down that read every month, and they can do the calculations, and they are submetering. So in some instances, you can just manually read, and there's nothing wrong with that. About 20, 30 years ago, the technology of the day was to do what's called walk around or drive-by systems. So those were using a radio signal from the meter, but you had to get close enough in order to capture that. Those systems are still available, but they're really getting more and more obsolete as every year goes by. And then the last category is what's called automated meter reading systems, where that data is actually pushed up to the cloud via an internet connection or cellular connection. And we believe that's the best way to go. And the technology is mature enough that I think you'll find that that makes a lot of sense. So we mentioned earlier about manual reads. Some of the concerns we tend to worry about with manual reads is that sometimes you have to get down on your hands and knees to read that meter, and that meter pit box can be frosted over. Is that number a 6 or an 8? Those are issues when you're dealing with human eyes and the opportunity for errors. The other issue about manually reading is you've got to make sure you are reading it on the dates that you are trying to calculate your billing period for. So take that in consideration too. You have to get to every meter point. We've seen many properties where that can be a real mystery of finding the meter, and you've got to pay somebody to do all that. Those handheld or drive-by systems are a little bit better, but again, you still have to get there at the right time. You certainly have to, you don't get the opportunity of any historical data. You have to, you don't know what the meter read a week ago. You only know what it's saying today. And believe it or not, the cost of those handheld readers are, if anything, they may even be more expensive than the new automated meter reading systems. So we can get these for you. Let us know if that's something that you already have and you just want to add to. But generally, we would discourage you from adding a new drive-by or handheld system. So the one that we're going to promote is what the industry calls AMR, or automated meter reading systems. They're typically using wireless transceivers that are connected to the meters, and then they're reporting to a base unit that is uploading their data to the cloud via a cellular or an Ethernet or Wi-Fi connection on a regular basis throughout the day. What happens now when you've got that is that, first of all, it's easily accessible online, and it's storing reads. So if I need to know what that meter said 2 weeks ago last Tuesday, I can go in the database now and see that. We have a number of different AMR equipment styles and manufacturers. We just returned from our large industry trade show in Atlanta last week, and are hearing about some of the new technology upgrades that are coming out. And we're excited about a lot of those, but these have been around 30 years, and this industry is very, very mature. The stuff just works, and we've got a lot of confidence in it. And they can be used on properties of any size. And I think I want to emphasize that too, because a lot of people say, oh, this is only for those 100-unit properties. It's simply not true. We are installing these types of equipments in duplexes and fourplexes and people with 8 or 10 units all the time. How do these work? Well, they typically have a lithium battery that powers that transceiver that will last 7 and now 10 years before that battery needs to be replaced. So there's no wire that you have to bring to the water meter. They can use repeaters that will create what's called a wireless mesh network to extend the signal from those individual transceivers inside each unit. And then there's always a system gateway that will be connected to the internet, which collects the reads from all of the different meters on the property and sends that up to the cloud. I mentioned smaller properties earlier. We are really pleased that we like to think that we excel at submetering small properties. A lot of our competitors in our industry will really not want to talk to you if you don't have 50 units or more. But if you've got a small property, we'd love to talk to you and help you out. All of the advantages we've just been talking about with submetering are now available for you if you have a small property too. And I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised to find out that they're very affordable too. And they can be used with cellular, so you don't have to have an office on site or even an internet access. The cellular is now a monthly affordable cost to upload to the cloud. You know what? One thing we've added recently, just in the last couple months, is now our website has got a landing page now where you can put in the number of units, what type of meter you're looking for, water or gas, and you can actually get a price now online for your property for the equipment portion of it. It's not going to cover the installation, but it's going to show the equipment. And if you like that, you can place that order online, tell us how to label the meters, what with the unit numbers, and you can even order that online now. So we're trying to make this super easy, super simple for you to get that pricing and purchase this without any real hassles. You can always call us too. All right, we're going to shift gears now. That's been all about the equipment and the metering systems. Let's talk about the billing part of this. We've got a system in place now. We're getting data on a regular basis, and we're going to want to now start sending bills to the residents. Well, the key here is that the bill is, there's a couple options you can go there, and you can do this yourself. So we have a lot of clients, particularly on smaller properties, that decide, hey, we can do this ourselves with an Excel spreadsheet. I now have access to those meter reads. I'll figure out how to split that bill. No worries, you can do that. You know, one of the things that we're about to launch, maybe as soon as next week, Trevor, is we're going to even have a training video that you can purchase on our website, which will help you set up your utility billing if you want to do it yourself that way. One of the fun things about that is that when we that we think that that's going to really help out many people who want to do it themselves. But if you find after watching that video, and you paid some money to us for watching that you'd rather have us just do the billing, then that cost that you paid for the billing will be applied and cover your third-party billing account setup. So there's no extra cost if you choose to change. So you can do it yourself, or you can have a company like us that will do that billing for you. And let's talk more about what that looks like. So if Submeter Solutions is providing you those third-party billing services on a monthly basis, we're going to read those meters remotely with whatever system is there. We're going to then calculate and allocate each cost to every unit based on their usage. We're going to then create and mail or email a utility bill to every resident. And then in some cases, particularly on larger properties, if you choose, we can even do the payment collection of those bills and then reimburse you once a month for what we collect from the residents. What's exciting about our third-party billing services is that we put a billing fee on each bill. Typically, they're for no more than $5 a month. And that fee then pays for that service. So make sure you hear that. Typically, this is no cost to the owner or manager of the property. The residents pay for our service there. So as I mentioned, that bill that gets sent to the resident can be sent in the mail or email or both. The resident gets to elect that. They have a login that they can get to their account, see their past bills. If they're set up to pay us, they can even pay that online. And then every month we will be also sending the management a portfolio of summary reports, which will show them all of the consumption data from the meters, how we calculated the individual line items on the bill, whether that be a base fee, usage fee, sewer fee. We can put garbage on there. We can add pet fees, whatever you need, we can add that to the bill. That's typically for no extra cost. We also will, we have systems and algorithms that are looking for exceptionally high or low or no usage, and our billing service provider specialist will alert you to that on a monthly basis. And then in some cases, particularly like for mobile home parks, we'll even run a specific report that is measuring the percentage recovery. And why that's key is that can help you find those other kind of leaks at your property that may be outside of the units meter, but are still on the utility bill, and they can help you identify if there's a trend change and you need to go find a leak. So another real important feature about our utility billing services is that we are been doing this for a dozen plus years. We are part of a national industry trade group that consolidates and pools all of our understanding of all the laws throughout the United States. And we have a database. So if you're sitting in Miami, Florida, we're going to make sure that we're going to abide by all of the different local laws and codes that are applicable for different types of submetering laws. One example, we're here in the Seattle area, so I've noted this on our slide, but there are specific code requirements in Seattle that you have to give a 90-day notice before you can start submetering. The company that does that billing has to be licensed in Seattle, and there's a limit on the amount of service fees that can happen. So that could be applicable in your part of the country. And if you have any questions about that, feel free to give us a call and we can help you with that. Couple of things. I know we're running out of time, but just kind of wrapping up some things. We hear regularly, Kelly, that all sounds pretty good, but I've got some key concerns. This sounds like it's probably expensive, or what are the residents going to think? Or man, is this going to add a lot of time on a monthly basis to me to administer that? So I want to briefly cover those few concerns. So let's start with the financial part. And unfortunately, I don't think I have time to really dive into this too deeply, but I just picked a 30-unit complex here, and you can look at the numbers. If the traditional cost for water and sewer is $60 a month, that all means that you're paying to your utility over $21,000 a year. After submetering, remember the first thing we're going to talk about is you're going to reduce that bill by 20% because your residents are going to start using less water. Maybe some of that water is still going to a laundry room or common irrigation. So you're still going to probably have a bill that is $17,000, and maybe $15,000+ of that is water the residents are using. So you are still paying that bill, but now if we're doing this submetering, that $15,000 is being paid for by the residents. So you've reduced the amount of money coming out of your pocket from $21,000 to just $1,700 to cover that common water. The cost is you're going to have that almost $20K in net operating income go up. You're going to increase your cash flow. In this installation for a 30-unit, I included both the equipment and the installations. It's a little less than $10,000 for a system at this 30-unit property. And bottom line, that means you're going to be almost $90,000 ahead after 5 years. So return on investment, a lot of times it's less than 12 months. Now, certainly my example is assuming that you're currently covering the cost of water inside of your monthly rent, and that you're now going to pass that along to residents. We see sometimes that our clients will not pass along a rent increase in lieu of now passing along that cost, or maybe even reducing the cost of the monthly rental fee. Talk to us if you have any questions about all that. We can help you with those strategies. A lot of times residents don't like change. They go, I've been getting this water for free. What do you mean I got to start paying for it? Well, we help you and encourage you to tell them that now they're only paying for what they use. They've been given power in their hands. So it can help with leaking toilets. And you, as I mentioned before, you might want to consider locking in rents or even lowering them to help the change be accepted a little bit quicker. Usually we find after a couple, 3 months, everything, those concerns and questions, everybody gets used to it. Well, I think that's it. We're located in Kent, Washington. We started our business clear back in 2000. We really pride ourselves on being able to work with companies with any size properties, and we get you those systems. We're smart and expert on that, and utility billing, monthly utility billing. That's what we offer. So I have a couple questions online. Let me read those really quick. It says, do you provide EV meters? From Bobby. EV meters, electric vehicle. Yeah. We did a presentation just a couple months ago in April on EV equipment and the trend there for the multifamily. And the short answer is yes, we can pair an electric meter with an EV charging station. We have a lot of great, we've developed now, even recently, a lot of great new contacts and partners that will actually sell you the EV charging stations and get you help with the installation on that. But depending on the system that you're putting in, you may indeed want a meter. We have a number of properties that we've done that for. Give us a call. We can help you with that. Yeah. Another question from Melissa is, what is the lead time on installing a system? Great question. We live in an age where lead times can be a challenge. Traditionally, we have equipment that's in stock at our office or at our suppliers' offices. And if you say go, we can usually get you that equipment within a couple, 3 weeks. Mm-hmm. That's not always the case. If you've got a more unusual meter, larger size one, sometimes that can go over a month. But honestly, almost everything that we sell is either in stock or only a week or so away. Yeah. So hopefully that answers your question, Melissa. Love to hear about what specifics you have. We can prepare a proposal for you. Yeah. And with that, I'm 3 minutes over time. If there are no other questions, Trevor, I'm going to turn it back over to you.
That's great. Yeah, we'll stay on just for a couple more seconds here, but if you have any other questions, feel free to drop them in the chat there. We've answered those too. And I'm just going to give that a few seconds. Cool. Well, other than that, we really appreciate you guys jumping online. Thank you for taking the time. And again, we're here to help. So if you need anything from us, we'd love to be able to be in contact with you. Again, those are our contact information, sales@submetersolutions.com. Our phone number is 425-873-7063. And we'd love to be able to help you save time and be able to increase your property's value and be able to increase that ROI. So if you need anything else, let us know. If not, have a wonderful rest of your day, and we'll talk to you in a little bit. Thank you.